Okay, pleasure to be here, Dubai, with all of you. So let me start with asking you, have you heard OpenAI CEO saying that ChatGPT 4 was one of the dumbest models that we would ever have to use? So this kind of tells you the expectation that we have for the future generations of these models and GenAI. So today, we'll be talking about how GenAI is already providing us benefits in telco operations. And with real-life use cases. I'm João Antunes, Head of Autonomous Network Offering at Celfocus. We are a Portuguese system integrator company that has been working in innovating in the telco sector for the past 20 years. We work in Middle East since 2006, and we are proud to be partners with customers like Ooredoo, STC, and Du. And so, in the next 15 minutes or so, I will talk about how we are able to achieve, with today's models, the existing models, and it is expecting to be better, what we are able to achieve. And these are outcomes such as, for instance, 5% decrease in call detraction at the contact center, or even 80% in search performance improvement while searching for critical documentation on the network operations, or even 24% in second site field service interventions. But first, I'll start with a question, which is whether, in fact, GenAI can be a game changer for telco operations. And I ask you, who of you think that is in fact a game changer, or can be in fact a game changer for the telco? By show of hand. Okay. At about 30, 40%. So for those of you who didn't raise their hands, let me try to convince you otherwise. Okay. So with all of these advancements in GenAI and the millions that have been put into these models, so for instance, OpenAI still yesterday announced new models that go from being only text to being multimodal. So we have now text, visual, and sound. So this will advance further. So it only makes sense for organizations, and telcos are not different, to explore this type of technology. Even beyond its limitations, right? Because we know have some limitations like hallucinations, we all heard about it, and there's some technology already over there that can help us overcome this issue, such as guardrails, for instance. But the fact is that those who do not explore it might end up in a risk of losing some competitive advantage towards their competitors, or even some sustainability. So what, in fact, would GenAI give us? From better interactions in the contact center, to more efficiency on network operations or service operations? What GenAI is in fact giving us can be summed in a word. I will sum it up in time. So it gives us time. And this is time that we can provide towards more strategical activities within our day-to-day business, on the telco business. So, but let's start by agreeing in something. We need to leave the hype behind, right? Because there is no such thing as worse than having a solution and then finding a problem to be solved by such a solution. So it doesn't make sense, right? So what we need is a compelling approach, a good approach that takes us from an engineering use case. We are all engineers, I mean, most of us engineers, like to do engineering use cases, but what we need is to take us from there and go to a business case that has outcomes. And only then we can use it as a strategic lever. So, and this is where we start with our clients. First, understand what is the use case that we want to do. So we want to help field services, or we want to help contact centers, or whatever it is, we need to understand what we want to do and how we want to help them. Then, we need to think about what are the features that we need to build to help to solve that challenge. And this might mean, okay, let's pick GenAI. But it also might mean, let's stay away from GenAI. Again, do not succumb to the hype, okay? Because most of the times, there are technologies that are more solid to solve the same problems. So, if GenAI is in fact the way to solve it, there's also the question whether is it GenAI alone, or should we couple GenAI with other solutions and other technologies? And that's what you'll see today. Beyond the use case, the features that we need to bring, and we also need to define what are the outcomes that we want to have, right? So if we are helping field service, what do we want from field services? We want them to be quicker. We want them to do more jobs. We want them to improve customer experience. Whatever it is, only when we have all of these three, we have a compelling business case. And then, yes, GenAI can act a strategic lever and be a differentiator for telco. So let's take a look at a hypothetical scenario where we have a global outage management in a telco, and see how GenAI can help us taking care of this solution through different perspectives of different people in operations. And these that I'll show you today are 4 use cases that Celfocus is either currently implementing or already implemented with benefits already measured. So, starting on the customer operations side, which on the urge of an outage management might be having a surge in calls, and their concern is to improve the experience with faster contacts and leaving the customers waiting less and less time. And here, helped by cognitive care capabilities leveraged by GenAI. To the service operations guys that have the concern to take care of our service and detect whenever the network is degrading in terms of performance. And so they will want to be more proactive rather than reactive to a problem that is already affecting the customer. And so here we'll rely on predictive maintenance capabilities that are enabled by GenAI. You will see how. Regarding network operations, these guys will have the concern of getting the information that they need to solve problems in the network within the several layers of the network that we have today. So the network is virtualized. So they, too, can count on intelligent search capabilities to find information quickly and get to work to solve the problem. And finally, field service operations, that their job is to go to a site, solve the problem, get there fast, move away fast to the next job. And here they also count on field service recommendations powered by the same type of technology. So let's take a look at the first example and use case that we have implemented. So like I said, in the urge of a surge in the contact center, given that there might be problems occurring, the concern of the agents is how to improve the experience with contacts, with people that are getting to report the problem. So here it is a stressful moment, of course, for the customer, but also might be for the agent, because the sentiment of the customer might not be very positive. So what we did here was to create an augmented customer support framework. This support framework ingests information from the several channels, the several interactions of the customer, and processes it with machine learning, GenAI, so that we can get insights, and those insights can be integrated within the tools that the agent is using on the contact center. For instance, might be integrated in portals, such as you see here, or even the chatbot. So what are we achieving with this as of now? For instance, we are able to achieve 10% increase in call deflection rate, meaning that 10% less of customers are reaching the call to an agent, a human agent. And why are we achieving this? Because with intent recognition by GenAI, we are able to understand much better what are the workflow automation that we need to run on IVR, on chatbots, and so on. And so, if the problem is solved, they never get to call a human agent. Furthermore, if they are even want to talk to the agent, we were able to further achieve a 20% call handling time reduction. Why? Because again, GenAI helped us understanding the summary of the previous interactions with the customer and summarize it to the agent, so the agent is now briefed of what the customer wanted. So he gets a summary, he gets a sentiment analysis, whether the customer is positive, negative, or neutral. And he also gets an intent recognition, meaning what the customer really wants with that call. The third benefit, and this is a game changer, was a game changer for our client. And if you work with customer operations, you might want to take some notes. Because one of the reasons, while working with this data that we found, was that one of the main reasons for detractor calls, and I repeat, one of the main reasons for detraction in customers, was that agents were promising something to their customer, but never complied with that promise. Okay? So never complying to a promise made to a client was one of the most common issues. So here, with GenAI, we're able to transcribe the call in real time, understanding when the agent does a promise to the customer. For instance, I will call you back later. And here we create an automated activity so that the agent can follow up and never forgets to do so. So we started this framework with English language, but very quickly enhanced it to learn Turkish and Albanian. And so here we also can see how GenAI can break the barrier of language. And this is game-changing as well. So now let's take a look at how service operations can benefit from this technology. Like I said, in a situation where network performance is degrading slowly, what these guys want is to avoid the issue in the first place. So they want to detect ahead. They want to see where the problem will happen and want to act straight away on that problem so that customer never feels the problem, right? So this is everyone wants to have. So the solution here that we are trying to build, that we are building as of now, is gathering information, historical information from the network, live information from the network, and correlating all of that data. So meaning that we are currently ingesting CDRs from the service, understanding everything that is being made in terms of traffic, and applying anomaly detection on top of that service. And of course, if we have the service data, we detect the anomalies. We are also correlating this with virtual infrastructure and physical infrastructure so that we understand where is the problem in fact. Because we want to correlate experience that we are feeling within the 5G with where the problem is on our infrastructure. So here too, GenAI will help. How? Because after the root cause analysis, we can tap into the incident and problem management history and get help from those tickets that have the information that the engineers have done and the logged information to help us with. So here we are providing this to the engineer. Of course, we want to get with this. First things first, a decrease in mean time to repair, because, of course, we are helping to detect the problem, to do the root cause, and to perform also a recommendation for resolution. So this is accelerating the mean time to repair. But also in terms of network availability, it will have to increase because we are never getting the problem and we are much faster acting on the degradation. And if the customer never complains, there's also a reduction in call volume to the contact centers. Now, in terms of network operations, like I was saying, network is not turnkey no longer, right? So we have all these different layers, the application, virtual, physical infrastructure, many vendors, each vendor for one of the layers. So it's harder to troubleshoot and harder also to know what commands do I need to put on this network so that I can solve the problem. So what we did here was to create a solution that combines GenAI with search indexing capabilities so that we ingest documentation from vendors, from knowledge management, from past corrections, and then we are able to get a chatbot-like prompt to the engineer. So he will search for the problem and get straight away answers with the personalized content for him, meaning that the chat will tell him how to solve the solution, but also with the links for the original documentation where we can find the exact correct information. This is the Sapphire framework we have built. We based it on. And it's, in fact, very easy to expand. It's only, in fact, a matter of putting more documents into it. So what we are achieving so far is an 80% improvement in search performance, meaning that instead of taking 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to search for critical information to solve the problem, we are now taking less than 1 minute to get that critical information in hand. And finally, our field service recommendation. So how do we help our field service guys? So their concern is to get there fast, solve the problem, leave, get to another job. While doing so, sometimes there are activities or tasks that they forget to do, either because they don't know or because they were quick to do it and forgot. And so they have to return a second or even a third time. And this was, in fact, our client's problem, because this has impacts in costs of field service that we need to do, and the field service engineer is not doing any other job that is where they are needed. So here, what we did was to build a field service copilot framework for the customer that takes into account all of the work orders, the past work orders that solve problems regarding that problem that is being reported. And so the system takes that information, sees what has happened in the past and has worked and did not require the second or even the third intervention. And to do so, it provides 3 top recommendations to the engineer so that he is able to do the job and be accurate while doing so, not needing a second or even a third time to go to the site or even the customer home. So business value for this is 24% reduction in second site interventions that we measured. And this comes up to 1.4% in reduction of overall field service costs. So if you think about the tier 1 total field service costs, 1.4% is already very good. As of now, we have a 72% recommendation success rate, meaning that this system, these models, are already producing 72% of the times the correct answer to solve the problem to the field service engineer. But we are expanding it with more information from, for instance, network live data, so that it is even more accurate while providing the recommendation to the field service engineer. And of course, we are hoping to get this from 24 to 30 or even 35%, while also increasing this 1.4% of field service reduction costs in total. So as you can see, GenAI is helping us generate additional time, and we are transforming this time into opportunity. So from customer operations to service operations, network operations, and field service operations, these are now benefits that we can achieve with the current dumb models, as OpenAI CEO called it. And if we are getting better models with multimodal capabilities, such as visual, images, video, and sound, So we only can imagine what we can do with those models and the numbers that we can achieve further. Thank you for being here, and if you want to know more, meet us at Celfocus booth. Thank you.